Good afternoon, everyone. To continue the slides just now, Ruby and Jianbo had shown, today I'm now going to make the presentation about performance evaluation for containerized NFV infrastructure on ARM with OPNFV Yardstick. First of all, I have to thank to Trevor Tao, my colleague in ARM, the staff software engineer, that actually most of the work to be presented in this slides is actually done by him, but for some reason he's not able to arrive here today. So I'm now to make the presentation on behalf of him. So the agenda. Today, first of all, I'm going to introduce the background for why we are doing these efforts on Yardstick. And then I'm going to introduce a bit about the OPNFV testing community and the Yardstick. And third, we were going to show what we have done recently on Yardstick and to share some test results we have get based on our enablements. And finally, we have some ideas and plans in our next step I'm going to share with you here. As Ruby has just showed just now, this picture shows the NFV infrastructure. And inside this red block, it is for the containerized NFV infrastructure on ARM platforms. So here we can see the server is on ARM servers, and they are allocated in the Kubernetes managed NFV infrastructure. And this containerized NFV infrastructure on ARM actually aligns with the OPNFV Container for NFV project. We can get more details from the link below this picture for more detailed information about container for NFV. The container networking is actually the basis of containerized NFV infrastructure. So when people have set up and containerized infrastructure on ARM, then they will have the question how to evaluate the networking performance on this infrastructure efficiently. Yeah. So before we answer this question, we can have a look into the testing community on the legacy NFV infrastructure. The idea is that since the containerized NFV infrastructure is inherited from the legacy NFV infrastructure, which is based on OpenStack and virtual machine. So we can very likely to leverage the testing methodologies in the legacy NFV infrastructure. So let's have a look here. This is the NFV infrastructure, and in the OPNFV testing community, there's majorly three kinds of tests: the compliance testing, the functional testing, and the performance testing. Like the dovetail and the funnel test, they are the key components in compliance testing and functional testing. Here we can see Yardstick is the key component for the performance testing. So I'm not sure why it's called Yardstick, but not a ruler or meter stick. But what we know is Yardstick is also for measurement. It will measure the networking performance of an NFV infrastructure. So here, let's have a look into Yardstick from the architecture point of view. Yardstick is an OpenFV project. It is a test framework with test cases and test stimuli to enable NFV infrastructure performance verification. Yardstick itself includes several kinds of test cases or test scenarios, such as ping, iperf, perf, protocol, RTT, etc. And originally, Yardstick is designed for the legacy NFV infrastructure, and recently, the support for Kubernetes and thus the container is added. It's about 1 or 2 months ago, actually. Inside Yardstick, there's 5 key components inside that: the scenario, context, runner, dispatcher, and plugin. The scenario defines what kind of class or type the testing is going to do. For example, the ping or iperf, netperf, for different purposes. And for the context is the set of cloud resources that is going to be used by this test scenario. For example, the usernames, image names, or the affinity rules and the networking configurations. They are all described in the context. And the runner is the logic that actually executes the test case. It will describe how the test case is going to be executed, like how many time of the iterations and how long the test duration is, or the staging size of the test. And for the dispatcher, when the test case is being executed, the dispatch module will collect and then dispatch the test results to some target, such as the file or an InfluxDB or HTTP for different type of the user display. And Yardstick itself is extendable. So it currently supports a plugin layer that allows user to integrate other OpenFV test projects to work together with Yardstick, such as the VSPerf for data path performance, CPerf, storage perf, and QTIP. It can integrate with a lot of OpenFV test projects. Okay, in this slide, we are going to have a look into Yardstick from the workflow point of view. The Yardstick itself is actually running as a container of Docker, and in our case, it's actually running as a pod of Kubernetes, and it's running on a Jump host. When it's going to kick off a test, Yardstick will first send out the context information to Kubernetes master, and then the Kubernetes master will accordingly to initialize the environment, such as, for example, to create the host pod and the target pod. The host pod and the target pod can be either on virtual machine or on a bare metal, and they can either to be allocated on a same host or on 2 or more different hosts. If they are allocated on not in the same host, then the flat network here is being used. The reason we are choosing flat network is for the sake of easy environment setup, but as Jiabo and Rubin have mentioned just now, if we are pursuing for some high performance, then we'd better to consider some other networking solution. While here we are only for the purpose for verification of our enabling on ARM platform. So final network is used here. And after the context is set up, Yardstick will then to send the test script, means the test scenario, to host pod, and then the host pod will kick off the test to run the runner to start the performance testing. When the performance testing is being executed, the dispatch module in Yardstick will together to collect the test results and then to dispatch it. In our case, it's dispatching to the influx DB, and this will allow the Grafana to draw some timeline-based data pods. And finally, when all the tests are finished or are stopped, the Yardstick will ask Kubernetes master to clean up the environment, for example, to undeploy these pods and to free the resources that have been allocated for the context. Okay, now I'm going to have an introduction about what we have done. As mentioned just now, the Yardstick was originally designed only for the legacy NFV infrastructure, and the support for Kubernetes is recently enabled. While that's still only on the x86 platform, so first of all, we have to enable it on the ARM platforms. For example, we need to do some modifications to the building system and etc. And in fact, most of the test cases in Yardstick can only be running in virtual machine environments because of the some environment limitations, and because of the difference between virtual machine and container, we made some further efforts to enable several test cases, such as PIN and perf, to make them to be able to run in the container environment. And based on the two enabling work above, we are able to do some testing and collected the test results and have a quick realization into them. And also during our effort in these enablements and testing test results collection, we find there's some functional limitations in Yardstick. In Yardstick on containerized NFV. When it is interacting with Kubernetes, I will explain more later. And now, let me first to share some test results we have get from the Yardstick testing on containerized NFV infrastructure on ARM platforms. First, the test scenario is the ping RTT. RTT here is the round trip time. So it determines the latency between the host pod and the target pod. And we considered in total three use cases. In the first use case, both the host pod and the target pod are allocated in the same bare metal machine. Because they are on the same bare metal, there's no the data traffic between host and target does not have to go through the final network. And as a result, we can see the average latency in this use case is the best. It's about 0.2 milliseconds in average. And in the user case 2, the host and the target pod are on two different bare metals. So data traffic between them has to go through the final network. And what we have measured is the average latency is increased. It's about 1.2 milliseconds in this in this snapshot. And in our third use case, the target pod is actually allocated in a virtual machine. Because of the extra cost between the virtual machine and the host itself, the average latency is further increased. It's about 2.3 milliseconds in this case. And the second test scenario is using NetPerf. When using NetPerf, we have a similar finding that when the host and the target container are allocated on two different bare metals, we can see the throughput here is quite low and the latency is high. And when they are on the same bare metal, we can see the throughput gets higher and the latency is reduced. So we can, maybe not conclusion, we can confirm this statement that the Solana network with the overlay solution is impacting the networking performance on NFV infrastructure. But what we have to mention is that the test results here we showed were different from platform to the platform, and the data values here are only for qualitative reference only purpose. So when we are setting up these testing environments, we do have made some troubles. For example, everyone should be quite familiar to the pin or NetPerf, and believe that usually it will only take us several minutes, 5 minutes or 10 minutes to collect all the data. But actually, it spent us several days to collect such data. Why? Actually, the story is that we have a lot of Kubernetes nodes available for us to deploy. This should be an advantage, but why it becomes our disadvantage? It is because that the current yardstick cannot select on which node the target pod or host pod should be deployed on. So what we are doing is now to temporarily disable all the other nodes and then to allocate one target pod and then to disable all the other nodes and to deploy to create another pod for the target pod. So this is very low efficient, and we have to wait for the other people to leave office to do that. Otherwise, they will be impacted. So the first thing we want to do in our next step is to add yardstick function extensions for Kubernetes context. In fact, the Kubernetes itself already supports the node selector and the network selector. The problem is that Yardstick is currently not providing such information to Kubernetes. So this is our first plan to make it support the node selector and the network selection. And we also plan to enable the test cases on data plane acceleration in container. And we mentioned just now by looking at Jiangguo, for example, the DPDK and ODP to enable them completely. And we also attempt to enable more test scenarios for containerized NFV infrastructure, such as the HTTP request, processing performance, and etc., to make it possible to gather more specific testing results. And also, we hope to enable some test cases between the virtual machine and the container networking environment. Currently, all the efforts are being done. I think it's run out of battery. Currently, all our efforts are based on the containerized networking. Fortunately, this is my last slide, and now it is for Q&A.